President Hayes, as the board secretary, it is my responsibility to assist you with the election of a temporary chair for tonight's meeting. I will ask for a nomination for temporary chair to conduct this meeting. Nominations do not need a second. May I have a nomination for a temporary chair?
I move that Bruce Potts be temporary chair.
Mr. Potts, do you accept this nomination? I'm going to note that you said no. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. Is it the consensus of the board to ask Director Potts to serve as a temporary chair? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I declare Bruce Potts to serve as the temporary chair for tonight's meeting.
I got you.
I call this meeting of the Davenport Community School District School Board to order. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Director Gordon, would you please read the mission and vision statement? And Director Postian, would you then read the guiding principles? And Director Schneckler, could you please read the goals?
The Davenport Community School District is dedicated to growing excellence in academics, arts, and athletics for every child by ensuring the highest quality education in an environment shaped by our diverse community, preparing our students to be lifelong learners and productive citizens. Our vision statement is education that challenges conventional thinking, prepares all students to compete in a global society, and inspires our students, parents, staff, and community to answer the question, what if?
Guiding principles, opportunity. We provide abundant opportunities to empower students to reach their full potential academically, creatively, and socially. Collaboration. We foster an environment that allows students, families, and community stakeholders to come together for the betterment of our students' education and future. Transparency. We share relevant and important information with our students, families, and the community to maintain open and productive communication.
The goals for tonight, goal number 4, demonstrate progress and disproportionality, and goal number 5, emphasis will be placed on student achievement.
Are there any board reports? Director Beck.
Having done the requisite open house last week at Sudlow Junior High, and with tomorrow being the first day of school, I'd like to wish everyone, teachers, staff, administration, a happy and uneventful first day tomorrow.
Any other board reports? Communications, do we have any requests for open forum? We have no requests for open forum, so I will not read all that open forum stuff. The chair will entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Mr. President,
Director
Chair,
Beck,
I move the board approve the consent agenda as written.
is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Kleindrom. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll move to the vote. Director Beck,
Yes.
Director Kleindrom,
Yes.
Director Postian,
Yes.
Director Gordon,
Yes.
and my vote is yes, the motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion on the approval of bills. Director Postian.
Move the board approve the following resolution. Resolved, all claims presented to the board having been duly certified as correct by the treasurer, reviewed by the administration and board members, and they are hereby audited and allowed as just claims and warrants drawn on the treasury for the several amounts. Further resolved, the payment of claims and salaries be approved as presented for the period of August 3rd to August 16th, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Kleinstrom. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll move to the vote. Director Postian,
Yes.
Director Kleinstrom,
Yes.
Director Beck,
Yes.
Director Gordon,
Yes.
and my vote is yes, the motion carries. Committee reports. Data wall?
We are going to see some information about that tonight.
Okay. Finance Committee.
Finance Committee met last Thursday, and some of our discussion was concerning ESSER dollars, where we're at, what we still have left to spend, and what the timelines are. Talked about money from ESSER dollars that we're working on HVAC, and Josh has been working hard on that. And then also talked a little bit about teacher retention, and also talked about the way we're going to continue to track revenues and working on a working budget.
Legislative advocacy.
Ken, do you have anything you want to say about that? We're still in a holding pattern with our priorities.
Local School Improvement Advisory Committee.
The planning committee met, the internal planning committee met last week to start to plan out dates to communicate with the board committee. Did you have anything you want to add to that? No. Okay.
Long Range Facility Planning. That's me. We did meet that Friday after our first Thursday meeting. Thursday, 2 weeks ago, was our first public meeting on our presentation to the public of the things. Very, very long meeting. Lots of data and information that was given to the public. Majority of the estimate was the majority of the people in attendance, about 50 people in attendance. Majority appeared to be school people, large contingent from Walcott. The Long Range Facility met on that Friday after the meeting to assess the meeting itself that we had Thursday night and to make some plans for the one that's coming up this Thursday. We also had some conversations with the individuals that are putting together the community survey. We're looking at making some adjustments in that survey to help it give us a more accurate picture of the community feedback. Policy Committee.
I had to miss the last policy committee meeting, but I don't think there's anything new to
No, we
update.
just went over a lot of them. A lot of them are coming up for a vote or first or second reading tonight.
Yeah, and we'll have a meeting coming up.
Gotcha. Any questions or comments for anybody on our committee reports? We'll move to items requiring action. Chair will entertain a motion on items 10.01, Architect and Engineering Services, with the proposal for West High School addition and renovation.
Mr. Chairman.
Director Postian.
Move the board approve the contract with Bray Architects for engineering and architectural services for the West High School gym addition project for a fee of 6% of construction costs, estimated to be between $9.5 and $11.5 million.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Director Postian, seconded by Director Klein-Jerome. Discussion. Director Postian.
This project is sorely needed by West High School in order for us to be equal to the other two high schools. But I still have a concern about our relationship with the Y. I just hope down the road that we're spending a lot more money than what we needed to. I think we should be taking over that entire building, and the Y should be out. The other concern I have, when they talk about the number of people that are members there, a lot of those are West High students. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out why. I mean, this building is owned by Davenport Community Schools. Then why do the West High students have to pay membership to go into a building that's owned by the Davenport Community School District? So, again, I don't want to hold anything up on this project, It needs to be done. It should have been done a long time ago, but I am concerned about how we're going to spend these dollars. But I am going to, of course, I made the motion. I'm going to vote to approve this. But again, our relationship with the Y, as far as I'm concerned, really sucks.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to the vote. Director Postian,
Yes.
Director Klein Jerome,
Yes.
Director Beck,
Yes.
Director Gordon,
Yes.
and my vote is yes, the motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion on item 10.02, purchase of online learning platform Ingenuity.
Mr. Chairperson. Mr. Chairman,
Director Gordon.
I recommend the board approve the purchase from Imagine Learning for products and services related to online learning for the 2022-2023 school year in the amount of $356,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Beck. Discussion of the motion. Director Postian.
I'm still concerned about the amount of money that we're spending for approximately 100 students. I will be voting against this. I think these students need to be in the classroom.
Other conversation? Director Gordon.
I do have a question. I don't know if this is the right time or place to ask it, but I had someone question whether or not Edgenuity could be used for students who are going to school during the day full time, but want to complete other credit hours outside of the school day or in the summertime.
The answer to that is yes, it can be. One of the ILDs like to answer that.
The answer is yes, it can be. Yeah, there's a variety of options. There is a very broad course catalog, and there is a variety of different options because of the novelty of it to us in terms of it's new to us. We are doing our best to match like courses to what we're offering in person as well, with the kind of eventual idea to explore is if we open it up and say, is it like an a la carte option? Like I'm gonna take these two classes in, but that's kind of a down the road type of consideration. But yes.
So would that be something that a student would want to talk to their counselor about if that's something that they want to do
Currently or down the road?
currently?
Currently, they could talk to their counselor in terms of if there is a course that we don't offer online, but as Director Postian is saying, or excuse me, in person. The in-person catalog is the one that we are working to match, and we're only using it if, for instance, with the staffing crisis, we were not able to get an in-person teacher, then that is an option that we have to fill it. So we are deferring to in-person and matching our course offerings in person with our online ones.
Okay, and it is available during the summer as well?
It could be, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to the vote. Director Gordon,
Yes.
Director Beck,
Yes.
Director Postian,
No.
Director Klein Jerome,
Yes.
and my vote is yes, the motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion on subject 10.03, IASB bylaws amendment and choice of delegate.
Mr. Chairman,
Director Klein Jerome,
I move Director Potts serve as the board's delegate during the IASB Special Delegate Assembly meeting on September 13th and at the IASB Delegate Assembly and Annual Meeting on November 16th, 2022.
is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Postian. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll move to the vote. Director Klein Jerome,
Yes.
Director Postian,
Yes.
Director Gordon,
Yes.
Director Beck,
Yes.
and my vote is yes, the motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion on 10.04, policies for board approval.
Mr.
Director Beck?
President, or Chair. And I move the board approve the following policies: 200.03, 206.01, 206.03, 212, 212.1, 214, 302.05, 303.06, 306, 501.05, 603.04, 705.05, 706.03, 709, and 906.
Is there any discussion?
We need
Oh, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Gordon. Any discussion?
Dr. Beck, listed on here is 30306. Oh, never mind, they're not in order. Forget it. I see it differently up here than down here.
Seeing no more discussion, we'll move to the vote. Director Klein Jerome,
Yes?
Director Gordon,
Yes.
Director Beck,
Yes.
Director Postian,
Yes.
and my vote is yes. Motion carries. Discussion items. The discussion of Dr. Judy Elliott's contract. Superintendent Schneckloff.
Thank you. So we have the opportunity to partner with Dr. Judy Elliott, who is a national expert in terms of MTSS. During the pandemic, addressing our lost learning is critical to us, but also coming off of our accreditation, one of our biggest plans coming through that process was the revamping of our MTSS, providing equitable access to all students. And so as a cabinet, we feel very strongly that we have all of the people in place. Now let's go and gain some knowledge, some outside expertise. I believe Judy Elliott has served in capacities of superintendent, things of that nature. I believe at one point she was number 2 at LA Unified, and because of how well she has done in her positions, people naturally want to work with her. We see this as a wonderful opportunity to revamp, to move forward and build the internal capacity, very similarly to how our board is committed to IESB. It's not a one and done. It's something that we are very committed to as a cabinet, to improving outcomes for students over a long haul. I would ask Courtney to kind of give a little bit more background into the contract and open up for any kind of questions. Thank you, Courtney.
Good evening, everyone. So just to give a little bit more background on Dr. Judy Elliott, she is a national expert in MTSS. She has done this work herself, as TJ has said, as the Chief Academic Officer of the Los Angeles Unified School District. Before that, she was the Chief of Teaching and Learning in the Portland, Oregon School District. Prior to that, she was an assistant superintendent of Long Beach Unified School District. And she's also a researcher, or was a researcher, at the National Center on Educational Outcomes at the University of Minnesota. So we just share that context knowing that she has walked in our shoes and she has done this work in some pretty large school districts. She does consult with school districts, Department of Educations, other agencies, and through this consultation, she assists these entities in their efforts to update and realign curriculum frameworks, instruction and assessment, and accountability that includes all students. So we're really excited about this opportunity for her to come in and work first with our cabinet so that we can all get on the same page and have a vision and plan for moving forward of how we better our MTSS for all students. And then that will fold into working with our DSAT, which is our district leadership team. And through this work, we'll be identifying infrastructures, barriers, and resources needed to implement MTSS. We'll be putting together a district implementation team that will see this work through and really provide technical assistance to our buildings. She comes in and she teaches us, she gives us homework, but we ultimately have to do the work. And that's what's exciting about her model, is how she has a model that's really about sustainability for districts to do this on their own. So I'll open it up for any questions.
One final piece. This is going to be a piece of our ESSER proposals as they come forward. These are opportunities for us that might not be there if the ESSER dollars weren't available. So this will be out of that pot of money.
Any questions from the board? Director Klein Jerome.
One of the things listed on here that she's going to do is work on board policies and review the current board policies. She's not here every day, and for what we're paying her, that to me is not something that we should be paying for. We have ILDs that they're the ones going to be trained on this. They're the ones that really should be working with the policy. So that's the only thing I have an objection to, is that she's going to spend her time on that. That shouldn't be.
So one of the things that we are excited about, I agree with what you're saying. We are the ones that should own those policies, and ultimately we will. To have an outsider's perspective on our policies about discipline, access to curriculum, those things are really important to us. While we ultimately hold the final say on what our policies are, I agree with you there. We are excited about the opportunity she's not going to tell us what to do. She is going to guide us. And I believe that we are heading down the right path, and it'll be more verification that we are heading down the right path, and it will be, for us, a bonus to have an outside eye reviewing those. When I first read that, I thought the same thing. And somebody that isn't from our community can't just unilaterally change our policies. So I want to assure you that that is not what the services that she will be doing for us. And the thing about this contract that I'm most excited about is many contracts are canned. As a matter of fact, she would not agree to work with us until she met myself and a couple other cabinet members to determine that we are in on this work, that we are the ones that are going to be carrying it. That's what's most exciting about this, is that she is going to work with us, and then we are going to move forward in our district. So I'm excited about that. I hear your reservation about somebody changing our policies, and I do not believe that's what that says.
Director Postian and then Director Beck.
Noted.
So also here in the script, it talks about her colleague. So is it actually going to be her here or the colleague?
So she comes in first and works with us as a cabinet and the district leadership team. And that will really be year one. When her colleague comes in, that will be a separate contract, but his focus is more school leadership teams. But we as a district have to do this work first before we roll it out to our buildings.
Director Beck.
Going back to the policies thing, I guess one thing I would, I agree with Director Klein-Jerome's concerns, but one thing I would like to make sure is that as we go through those, that we also share the IASB templates, because that's sort of what we've been working from. And we know that most of our older policies are not written necessarily in the best way. So I wouldn't want to be working on something that's already outdated.
Thank you.
Director Gordon, do you have any questions? Come on.
Yes, but I don't know how to word it, so I might have to save it for second discussion.
Director Beck. Oh, okay. How much is there in her contract? Is there any apportionment of how much actual contact time we're going to have with her? Because sometimes you get with these national consultants and it's breeze in, breeze out, and then the second string shows up for the rest of it.
Yes, in the contract, it outlines how many virtual sessions we'll have with her and how many on-site sessions we'll have with her. And as well, I believe in here it also states how many times, she obviously consults with us in planning for those opportunities. So I think she does a pretty nice job in outlining what we're paying for.
Thank you. Director Postian.
So in this contract, does that include her travel time and everything here then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Assuming your flight doesn't get canceled. Director Beck.
And I know that there's a very much clearly outlined sort of contract here, but I'm not sure how, what the exact deliverables are. There's a lot of review for her, and I see deliverables for our team, but I guess I'm not exactly sure, is there a spot where we're going to be able to say these are the 5 things that we accomplished here, and now we're going to go, what exactly are we going to get from that in a year?
So I do believe that's what the right column of the table that talks about outcomes is what she's trying to outline of what we'll be accomplishing. And again, I do think a lot of the onus is on us to do the work, right, under her guidance and vision and expertise. But if you guys don't feel like it's clear in here, that's something we can work with her on the front end of being very transparent about, like, this is what we're going to accomplish at the end of year 1.
In terms of our team, the outcomes for a positive multi-tiered system of support and having access for all students, that's really easy for us to define. So that's good feedback, because that is, what do we do when students get it? What do we do when students don't get it? How do we make adjustments in the learning? How does our system ensure that students are on the path to success? And so these systems that we're putting in place, and I guess I'll relate it to some of the best practices that we've tried to work with IASB to put in place. They're systems that will allow us to move forward in the future. And so those outcomes are pretty clear to us, but that's good feedback too. But those are, when we talk about working with a multi-tiered system of supports, that's kind of what we envision. And it's very similar to in our Davenport plan that we've been working on over the last 2 years. What do we do when students aren't being successful? And what do we do with students that are being successful, as Chairperson Potts is ensuring is happening for us too. So
Can I ask a follow-up then? So it would be really nice if, halfway through the year or something like that, or at the end of the year, we saw this same list again and could see, yes, we did develop this model. We did actually adopt and implement this thing. Because I think, and I'm only speaking for myself, but, I see that these are measurable outcomes for the most part, but I still don't know. And as Superintendent Schneckloth implied, some of it's kind of non-tangible. It's how are our students doing? But it would be nice to see, okay, we actually did all the things that we said we would do according to this contract. And let's make sure that our students are also benefiting from that.
Any further discussion?
It talks about the self-assessment. They call it SAMI. They're talking about a nationally validated implementation monitoring tool. So is that going to be different than what we've started with the MTSS?
No, in the sense that our state has actually already adopted this model. I do know that the state is looking at refining it and retuning it, and that's actually some of the feedback that Judy Elliott has provided, and that it needs to really embed a problem-solving model. And we're fortunate that in our district, we're already implementing that continuous improvement process with our different initiatives, which is the problem-solving model. So we'll make sure to make those connections.
Any further discussion? If between now and the next meeting you have some questions that come up, please email them to the superintendent. Our next discussion item is the data wall upgrades.
So this is coming out of our data wall subcommittee. Serves also 2 purposes: one, a visual of the data that we want to present to our school board, but also, as you guys saw in the Friday report maybe 2 weeks ago, we utilize this room all the time. So it would be a 2-pronged approach. One, during meetings, we could utilize these new proposed spaces to project our data, to really show our mission, vision, and our focus. But also, throughout the course of the school year, it would give us other visual spots to look to. And plus, you can see Like, for example, in our long-range facility meeting, if you're sitting over here, sometimes it's difficult to see. So the addition of the visuals along the walls would be beneficial. And so here's something the data subcommittee wanted to put in front of the board to preview, and just know that it would serve a much bigger purpose other than just our board meetings. And Mike Bondren is helping us make it visually appealing in our data wall subcommittees, and our cabinet is working on the data that we will be, and the cadence that will be up on our wall that will make sense for us to hold our system accountable. And so I believe, Kevin, you might be able to answer some of the questions about the quotes and what we're looking to, but there's the quotes there to make the necessary upgrades inside of here. Again, these funds are out of our PEPL funds, which are separate from anything that can only be used on our physical plant and equipment. So
the only difference between these two quotes, because Gary was in the process of seeing what it would cost overall. The first one that's $28,000 is 2 projectors that have 10,000 lumens. My running joke with him is we don't need to burn a hole in the wall, but if that's what's needed to be visually right, I asked him to check what these were, because these, you can see this fairly well. The other one I believe is an 82 or an 8400 lumen. I can't remember which one projector. That's the $22,000 quote. So we're mining those kind of things to make sure we don't overbuild, but we need to build the right technology into it so we can see it very plainly.
Director Beck.
So I guess when I sort of first heard about this, what I was thinking of, way back in the day, we had like a bulletin board. It was static, right? And somebody would come and staple on the letters and everything. I was thinking this would be like a giant computer monitor, where it's being run from a separate machine, right? Not just replicating what we already have, but like a monitor that it's dedicated to showing data, and somebody would have access to that computer, not necessarily, it's not just replicating what we already have, right? And so, something is on there all the time, even if, our basic standards or something like that. But people can put what else they want on there if they're doing a presentation. I guess that kind of is what I was imagining. And I'm wondering, are we just doing the same thing by adding another projector, or what's different about this than what we already have?
So the system will have the ability to do a multi-projection. So when we're using it during the day, for our purposes of our board meetings, it will be the presentation of our data, our goals, and review. And if we happen to, hey, let's put it up all in the same system, we still can do that. That's the goal of the system.
And so it'll just be there, right? Like, we're just going to have it there while we're in our meetings, whether we're having a presentation on that particular set of data or not, right? We're going to have a visual of something. Okay.
Director Klein's
So when we get reading scores or math scores, that's just going to be up there then all the time. Is that correct? Is that
correct?
Okay. And who is going to be in charge of inputting all that and keeping it up to date and current? And I don't really want to see the reading scores run for 6 months and never change. I mean, so how fast will the turnaround be on that?
Absolutely. And that's our learning and results team will be in charge of updating that. It's our entire cabinet that works on the data, but if you remember last year, the cadence of reviewing data was put together by our learning and results team. That's who will be doing that.
Any other discussion? So if I hear you correctly, we're talking about an operation that during a board meeting will be slave to the agendas of the board, but will be multi-purpose in terms of when we ever had any other thing going on in here, it will also be employed with those things.
Yes.
Okay.
And if we so choose to have a community night and want the board's goals to stay up there, then we can have that freedom to do that. I think which system between the two contracts are we recommending? I think what we would need to investigate is what, and this is what we did not have the answer to coming into here. If these are the 8200 lumens, then these are just fine. I don't think we have any problem seeing these, so it wouldn't necessarily mean we need to go to the more expensive one.
Correct.
So we'll have that answer to the board before the next board.
Correct.
Director Beck.
I guess I'm still not sure why we would choose projector over like a big TV. I don't know the difference between how these things work, but it's my understanding that big TVs cost a lot less. So what's the advantage to having a projector and a screen instead of just a big giant TV?
When you talk a big TV, you're talking more than just what you see at Best Buy, the 85-inch TV. You will not be able to see that. You're talking a very large TV. Those things will cost you in excess of $12,000 a piece, and we're talking 2 projectors in these 2 proposals. So it'll give us a lot more flexibility to project things remotely. You still can do that with a large TV, but we'll be able to move it as well. And moving the TVs is not going to happen on those walls.
Isn't it going to
So-
be on a screen though? We're not putting a screen up.
Either a screen, or they're going to do either a static screen that just basically sits on hooks, or it's possible to do the paint side of things where it's a high resolution paint.
Okay.
I don't know if that's decided yet.
Because I would say, I mean, if the objective is to be able to maybe move it or rotate it, then putting a screen in defeats that purpose. A permanent screen like one of these, right? And so again, one of those giant commercial TVs, if it's $12,000, that's half of what we're paying for. Well, I guess it's about the same as a projector. So I don't know. I'm not the expert, so. Okay. But you can definitely see more with this type of system. Okay.
Director Gordon.
Someone may have already asked this since I was out of the room, but it says that the bid price is valid for 30 days, and this was it says it was modified on June 6th. So is this price not current?
It's our most current because that's when it was provided, but we will update it, making sure that which one we recommend, we'll make sure that pricing is updated.
Any more discussion?
Can we just get a Jumbotron?
Okay, we're going to move on to 1103, board policies, first discussion. Director Beck.
Yeah, so this policy is kind of interesting because we have been discussing whether or not we even need it. It's on closing schools. It's not a policy that most districts have. There's not a template. And so we are discussing how to reformat it. Also, currently as written, it's very outdated and includes some language that's unrealistic. But before we can even do that, one of the things we need to do is change the number because we just adopted a policy with the same number that is something else. So that's what we are going to do here. So that's why this has come up. Should we wish to just rescind it, we can do that as well, or retire it. It is, like I said, a policy on how to go about closing a building, which typically doesn't happen very often in a district, and so no districts have a policy on it that we've been able to find. And for some reason we do, and it's very old. So we can just change the number or we can rescind it altogether.
This is first discussion, right?
Yep, so I'm asking for,
So you can just change the number.
okay, for now, just change the number.
I would think just change the number
Okay, we'll change the number. We can do that.
and put it on the TV.
All right.
Any other discussion of this board policy? You'll have ample opportunity to discuss it twice more. We'll move to the discussion of board policies for second discussion, 11.04. Director Beck.
Well, we've seen these already, so I'm just going to ask if anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns.
Any discussion? Administrative reports.
Yes, at this time, I'd like to introduce Diane Campbell to the school board. Diane is our interim director of learning and results. She is currently employed by the AEA and is dedicating her time. She has been a dedicated Davenport schools advocate in her role at the AEA. She serves as basically one of our main point of contacts from the AEA. She worked, in the last 3 years, she has worked directly with our cabinet. She has helped get many of our leadership teams up and off the ground. She is a wealth of knowledge and probably one of the hardest working human beings I've ever been around. Is deeply passionate about students. She's worked directly at Jefferson and some of the great scores that you've seen at Jefferson. And she has really done an excellent job helping get the school year off the ground. And we can't thank you enough for that, Diane. And we're so thankful that you are a part of our team. And as I speak for the rest of the cabinet, you've really done an excellent job helping get our school year up and off the ground. I know that when I say things like, well, that's the learning and results team that's taking that on, Diane has done a nice job of ensuring that that work gets forward, because we can't have a pause year in the areas of learning and results, and Diane is not allowing that to happen. So Diane, thank you and welcome to the Davenport Schools team. Would you like to say anything? Put you on the spot.
Thank you so much, TJ. It has certainly been an honor and a privilege to work with Davenport the last 7 years in my role as a district support administrator with AEA, and it really has set the stage for me to be able to come in and support the teams. And I've told so many people that this truly would not be manageable without the outstanding team, the administrative team that's in Davenport, as well as the learning and results team members and the specialists and directors that are involved within that department as well. It makes the work and the lift be cohesive, and they have just really pulled together. And so, again, it's just an honor to be able to work with Davenport in this capacity, personally and professionally. So thank you.
Board requests? Do we have any board requests? Okay, we'll move on to reflections. Who would like to be the first reflector? Director Kleinsville.
I would like to thank you, Director Potts, for getting us through in record time tonight. Outstanding.
Director Poston.
I'll echo her sentiments.
You're next.
Ditto.
Ditto.
Same.
Same. Well, it must be unanimous. Director Schnickler.
Well, I think it's a testament to the strong teamwork of the board that and you do run a very efficient meeting.
I do
much appreciated. So thank you for stepping up.
Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Do you do it yourself?
No, I can't. I can't.
So moved.
First time in 5 years. I'm not doing it. I don't know what to do.
So moved.
It's moved by Director Kleinsville. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Meeting's adjourned. That's Botkins.